All right, welcome back everyone. In today's episode, we're going to begin integrating Prisma. So let's get started. First, we're going to start with the npm install, and we're going to get our dependencies. So there's Prisma client, as well as we're going to be using Nuxt Auth's Prisma adapter. Once we got that, we're going to bring in a dev dependency, and that's going to be Prisma. Once we got that, we're going to go into our package.json, and I just want to update our scripts for ease of use. So for this case, we don't need the reset, but I'm going to use migrate dev. We can extend this with Prisma. So we got Prisma migrate dev, which is running the Prisma's migrate dev command, and then we're also going to do a Prisma migrate generate, as well as Prisma Studio. Cool. So now that we have Prisma installed, I want to run Prisma's init command. So we're going to do a data source provider SQLite. You should now have a database URL in your .env, which is going to be pointing to a SQL file that I believe was created, as well as this new Prisma directory. Let's click onto our schema.prisma file and just see what we got. There's obviously docs, we'll delete that. We have this auto-generated client as well as our database. And here it's doing SQL as our database provider. You can edit this with Postgres, MySQL. I believe they handle just about everything. Because we're dealing with authentication, there's a suggested schema that Prisma provides. And so I'm going to copy and paste actually what they provide in their docs and just throw it in here. Let's see here. We can delete these. It's from an old project. But here we have an account, a model, session model, user model, and verification token model. This account has a foreign key to user. That's about all you need to know. We'll look into this a little further, but you'll probably want to dig into Prisma docs a bit more. But just so you know, these are, if you're familiar with ORMs, this is the same thing. We're just creating Prisma objects that are going to translate into database relationships. Now we can run npm run prisma migrate dev, and let's just say this is our init migration, and so that's going to create a new migration file here. If you want to just see the raw SQL that's created, so we're creating an account table, session table, etc., etc. It's pretty neat. They do a good job of extracting a lot of that. Let's go back to our terminal. And now we actually want to run npm run prisma migrate generate. Cool. So to see this all, let's then run npm run prisma studio. Now that's going to give us this. And if we go up here, plop it in, you're going to see, let's just discard changes. You're going to see all of our models. So here we have our account, session, user, verification token. If you click into one of these, you're actually going to see it has all of the fields as well. We can see them here easier. Great. Now that we have a visualization of the models and everything, there's one last step that I want to show you to set up. And this is going to take place within our server directory. Make sure you're in server. And we're actually going to create a middleware, server middleware, and we'll call it prisma.ts. So here in our middleware, prisma.ts, we're going to import our Prisma client from Prisma client. And let's just see, we'll do a let Prisma of type Prisma client. And then we're going to declare, we're going to be extending our H3. And H3 comes from un.js. It's like our, how do I explain H3? It's the data type that's sent to our server routes. And then we'll do an interface of h3 event context. And we'll pass in, we're gonna just type this Prisma client. So we're extending the h3 type. And then for our server middleware, we'll do export default event handler. If there's no Prisma within this event, we're actually going to do a Prisma equals new Prisma client. And now we get to extend our event, its context, and give it Prisma. So I know this is a lot to unload, but we'll get into it a little deeper. The key here is this is giving us access to Prisma within our server events. So for example, let's go to see this event. We can actually technically do an event.context.prisma. You see, we now have access to that. And so that gives us the ability to query against our database. And we'll dig into that further in the next video. See you there.